Tomorrow is an interesting day as it relates to attendance in the schools in Michigan, including in Battle Creek. Here to shed some light on that, Monique Cheeks, the Director of Student Services and Accounting at Battle Creek Public Schools. Good morning.
Good morning.
And also Rebecca Bolden is here, who is an attendance and truancy interventionist at Battle Creek Public Schools as well. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you for being with us both today. Why is tomorrow important? Let's start there.
Tomorrow is important because count day, all of the students who are present tomorrow will be counted in a count that is provided to the state for our funding.
Mm-hmm.
So students being present tomorrow is very important because it helps with our state aid funding.
Yeah, and this happens twice a year, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so this is number one. When's the other one? In the winter sometime, isn't it?
It's spring. It's called the spring count, but it is in February.
Okay. Yeah, well, we like to think spring and February, usually, so that makes sense. So, yeah, it's a litmus test of sorts, a couple of random samples, maybe not so random, they're scheduled, but a couple of samples of attendance throughout the year that give the state an idea of where your funding should be. This is hugely important, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Why is it?
Well, we'd like to encourage attendance all year long for our students, just for their academic success, if nothing else. On count day is particularly important because everyone who's sitting in their seats, we track them towards state aid, towards state reporting, in a program called CEPI. So the students who are not here on count day, we then have to track when they return, and it just makes the process a little bit more difficult for those who are involved. And if we can't track them properly, then we don't receive any state aid funding for those students.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
So they're there, and we might not see anything in the bank account for them.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yikes. So that must be where you come in, Rebecca.
That's where I come in. That's where I intervene.
Okay.
My job is to make sure that all attendance is input properly.
Okay.
And make sure that students who haven't been in school, students who haven't been showing up, that they're there. I have gone door to door. I make lots of phone calls.
I bet you do.
I do parent meetings with the schools. I'm heavily involved in that process. So I know tomorrow is very, very important, but really my job is for every day, all through the school year, to make sure that our students are in school.
And we'll talk about what happens when she rings those phones and knocks on those doors. When we come back in just a minute on WBCK. We're here with Monique Cheeks and Rebecca Bolden from the Battle Creek Public Schools. Tomorrow is count day in Michigan, which means students are counted as usual, but that count is on one of 2 days, one of them being tomorrow, reported to the state. Funding is determined based on that. All right, so how do you entice them more than usual to come tomorrow because it is so important?
Well, some of our buildings are taking the initiative to offer incentives.
Okay.
So some students are being offered prizes out of a box. Every kid that's here, they get a chance to pick out of a prize box for your elementary level children. And then actually our alternative program is doing a big performance for about 2 hours. And any kid who arrives to school on time, he's issuing them, the principal there is issuing them a raffle ticket.
Oh my.
So he's really making count day big there. And our buildings are sending out calls to families and encouraging that their students are there and just making it fun and exciting for kids to be there every day, but particularly tomorrow.
Right. We want to make sure that the cash is flowing. So I suppose you have to do these kinds of things to illustrate the point that folks are needed in school.
Yes.
I was thinking about what you were saying about phone calls and things. When I was in high school, I might have told this last year when we talked. When I was in high school, I had a little co-op job in the front office, and Mrs. Forge every day was on the phone.
Yes.
She had a report of who was absent, and she was calling them one after the other. This is Middletown High School. Freddie was not in school today, and the message was supposed to be there when Mom and Dad got home.
Right.
I suppose it's much more high-tech than that now. There's probably some online thing folks can see, parents can see, but You still are making those calls, aren't you, Rebecca?
Still making those calls, still going door to door for those families that, are not there consistently. This is a huge task, but we're dedicated to doing this. We do have even homeless families that we do go to, and we help them. We come back with them to provide services of busing in their transition. We have all types of things that we do to help make our students successful and to be in school, particularly tomorrow.
Right. These are the modern challenges of coming to school, right?
That's exactly right.
Boy, if there's a young person who's not sure where they're sleeping tonight, you've got to get them in, and then they've got to be focused, somehow put that out of their mind and be focused in the classroom. This is a challenge.
It's a challenge, but we're up for it. We're up because we have the heart of the students.
So when you ring those phones or you ring those doorbells, what often happens that has kept people from being in school?
A lot of times the barriers are just lack of transportation, homelessness. Some people just don't feel the need to send their children. They just maybe want to keep them at home for whatever reason.
Wow. Boy, you've got a lot of work to do to get through those barriers.
It's the barriers of our time.
Yeah. These are not unusual, right?
No.
They're not actually, no.
So we just have a challenge, like a lot of districts do, in trying to break through these things. Are there ways in which districts are doing this that are different or that are new? Or how do you keep up with all this?
Well, we use our attendance system, like Rebecca mentioned earlier. So if we can make sure that everyone is entering attendance properly at the building level, then we can report. We can see reports that say which kids have consistently not been there, and then make contact with them or make plans for them so that we can make their attendance successful in school, so that we can break down whatever barriers that they may have. And like Rebecca said, we're up for the challenge. Like, we have plans ready. We're out there looking for these kids, and we're pulling reports for these kids and trying to break down any barriers that they may have that are not getting them into school.
Important day tomorrow for public schools in Michigan, including the Battle Creek Public Schools, with Count Day, and we'll pick up where we leave off in just a moment. WBCK, we're here with Monique Cheeks and Rebecca Bolden of the Battle Creek Public Schools. Count Day tomorrow. It's one of 2 days in the school year where the attendance counts get sent to the state. Funding is based on those counts. So you see the importance there. And if you've been with us over the last year or two, you've been listening to how important attendance is for the Battle Creek Public Schools. And to illustrate that, there have been district-wide campaigns, really, to talk about the importance of attendance, right?
Yes, and we have one. It's every student, every seat, every day. And also this year we're launching off Bearcats Roar for 4. No more than 4 absences a year. That's our goal this year.
No more than 4.
No more than 4.
Yeah. And that first slogan, every child, every seat, every day, as you publicize that, the meaning is clear. Everybody is expected in school every day.
From ages 6 to 18.
So you talked about sometimes how parents keep their kids at home for whatever the reason is. You have to convey this somehow.
Yes. And we do. We go out and we tell them, you only can be absent. The excuse, where there really isn't an excuse, but if you're sick, if you're really sick, not just because my tummy hurts or things like that, because they're missing critical academic and learning time. And the curriculum now is very strenuous, and they get behind, then it makes everybody else behind, the teacher gets behind, and then the kids aren't excelling as they should. So it's all types of things why they should be at school every day.
Well, they say that. What's that cliche we always hear? It's 95% showing up or something like that.
Yeah,
it is.
If you're not there, you don't learn it.
You don't learn it.
That's true.
Yeah. So is there some formula then with the 4-day thing? You know that 4 days, beyond that, it becomes more of a challenge.
It does. We've determined that once you reach 4 and 5 absences, it starts to impact your academic success because we look at it as just 4 days absence, but really it's 8 or more days absent because you're playing catch up. So we're absent 4 days, but that may be each additional day that you're playing catch up, and that the teacher and the other students have to play catch up as well to get the kids who were not there up to speed.
And by that, you mean, I presume, that if a student is out, somewhere along the way, the teacher has to backtrack.
Absolutely.
And so they're busy trying to make sure that those who've been gone are picking up what they missed.
Yes.
Is it common then for teachers to ask them to stay after, or do they just back the whole class up and try to catch everybody up?
I think teachers probably use an individualistic approach too. So they may be able to break off in small groups and concentrate on the students who have not progressed to where maybe the rest of the class is.
I see.
So it depends on the teacher's style and where they see the needs are.
Well, nevertheless, this is illustrates your point that if you're not there, it slows everybody down.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's pretty alarming. If you talk about the 4 days out, but then talk about the time it takes to catch people up, it really doubles that.
It doubles it.
That's incredible. Is that an average that districts deal with? I mean, how did you isolate that for?
Well, we really start like our phone calls and our interventions at 5 days, but we don't want our kids to get to 5 days.
Right.
So our attendance campaign is concentrating on 4 days because we don't want you to reach the critical levels, which are 5, 10, and 15. We want all of our students to be in school 90% of the year. So we have 180 days within a school year. If students are missing 10% of that time, 18 school days, then they're chronically absent and it can severely impact their academics. So we're trying to break it real early before they start to get to 5, 10, and 15.
And the earlier you start, the better, I presume.
Absolutely.
The earlier we start.
Yeah. So you probably have seen successes where you've intervened, you've figured out what the challenge might have been, and what happens after that.
Yes, I have. And actually, it has been a huge impact. Some of the families, some of the students may have probation officers or other wraparound coordinators from the mental health, and we all combat together and we rally around the student and the family, and that seems to be really helpful. And the parents are really, when they see that you're coming and you're putting in that extra effort, it gives them the extra support, and it really has impacted greatly. We've seen a lot of success, so that's why I'm really dedicated to this work.
Right, and that's important to point out, that what you're doing does help change what might be otherwise a significant problem.
Yes.
All right, tomorrow is count day. You have to be in school tomorrow. No question about it, right?
No question about it.
All right, so we'll be there, and we appreciate you reminding us about that, both of you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your help today. Rebecca Bolden and Monique Cheeks with Battle Creek Public Schools.